All right, what's up? Tim Sykes here. It is the weekend. Wanted to go over my weekend play on WKEY. Just a little reminder, my weekend strategy has been my single hottest strategy of all. Pretty crazy. Not all markets will reward us like this, but when you're hot, you're hot. RR was a fantastic play. Last weekend, I sold it a little too, conservatively. WIMI. This was another one where it went much higher. RCAT went much higher. LIFW, that was actually a pretty good sale, making $5,000. GXAI, this was just disappointing. That's really, frankly, my only loss on this one lately. SNTI was solid. DPRO, I really underestimated. KXIN, I forgot that, I literally forgot that I even had the position still. That's how overwhelmed I am. And then Xena and PDYN were both big winners. This is just the past, 2 months? So, a few small losses, but the vast majority are big wins. So when you have big wins like this, you got to be more aggressive. People are asking why, I say I gave the whole presentation, just buy on Friday and sell on Monday. Yes, in a perfect world, that's nice. But at the same time, I'm an over trader, for lack of a better word. I really want to try to fine tune my entry, position size, and exit price. And also remember, I donate all of this to charity. So, I want to donate the most, but at the same time, my job is to teach you guys the process. So when I see an opportunity, A, to make the trade, I'll take it. But B, when, it's already hit my goals on a Friday, you don't necessarily need to hold over the weekend. And then C, I got a third opportunity on this one, and I'll go into all of these individually. But the third opportunity was to go even bigger when I got the price action I wanted. So yes, in a perfect, simple world, you can just buy on Friday, sell on Monday, just like my presentation said, just like I do, sometimes. But trading can also be nuanced, and you can, increase your position, you can decrease your position. This is the beauty of adapting to the market. So I want to show you both. With RR, it turns out I didn't have to sell, any. This is a perfect example where I sold some into the after hours spike. I was buying it last week in the 380s, sold some in the 430s after hour spike. And then, on Monday, I sold it in the 5s and it actually hit the 6s. So I actually kind of shot myself in the foot and decreased my profits by, taking profits too early. But again, the reason why I mentioned charity is not to virtue signal, but I am different than you, right? Your job is always to try to maximize profits. You don't have to worry about teaching a process to anybody. You don't have to worry about, how other people are learning. You are in this to make money. I am not. I want to make money, but at the same time, I love teaching a process. And it's kind of cool to show you that I'm nowhere near best case scenario. I might have made 25% on RR last week, but it could have, would have been a 35, even 40% winner had I traded it better. So there's just so much opportunity. But let me get to WKEY. I said, I know that I usually wait till 3:30, sometimes even 3:45 p.m. Eastern, but this play was uptrending. And so when a play that I'm looking at is uptrending, I don't wait. And I'm glad I didn't because, I bought this before it broke the day high. When I was buying this at 965, it was right in here. It had already hit $10 a share pre-market. But when I'm buying it in here, it's uptrending, and you can see the big price spike and volume spike was when it broke the day high here. When it breaks $10 a share. But you don't have to wait for the breakout when things are trending in the right direction. That's the beautiful thing about learning this. Eventually, you don't have to actually wait for any alerts from anybody because you'll be self-sufficient. That's my goal. Okay, so I said this looks to be closing high ahead of its launch with SpaceX. So they announced this launch with SpaceX for a satellite launch several days ago. The press release was December 13th. So, nearly a month ago. But they clearly said the launch is January 14th. I love a Tuesday launch because no way am I going to be holding through the launch. You never know what's going to happen in a launch. That's always risky. The thing might crash and burn and then this stock drops 50%. Obviously, that's not a high odds, but it is a potential thing. So I don't want to risk what actually happens during the launch. I want to try to profit with the hype preceding the launch. So I love whenever there's a catalyst on a Tuesday or a Wednesday because I'm buying it on a Friday. And again, I'll link the presentation just in case you forgot what the basic rules for this strategy is. You're buying in anticipation of hype, okay? So when a launch is on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, there's going to be a lot of social media hype. There might be another press release heading into the launch. And you do not have to hold through the launch. You should not hold through the launch. What if there's bad weather on Tuesday morning? They might even put out a press release scrapping the launch on Tuesday the 14th, which gives us all Monday, pretty good odds. Obviously, anything could happen on any day, but, if there's bad weather on Monday, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be bad weather on Tuesday. So I prefer when a catalyst is on Tuesday. So thank you, WKEY for doing this so well. And so I linked it and I said I would take a bigger position if the price were lower. So this was me getting excited about the launch and the catalyst, but I could not take a big position because this stock was already right near its highs when I'm buying it. I thought about buying it on the dip here at 9:18, but I wasn't sure, if you buy it on a dip here at around like 2 p.m., you're not sure if it's going to keep dipping. And, there have been some plays where I've bought too early and then they don't, close well. And then I'm like, well, I don't even want to hold over the weekend. I don't like the way it closed. This one, obviously, we didn't have that problem. I mean, even after hours, it actually hit the 11s. I wish I was awake for this. I know some people were, congrats to you guys, right? Like alerting a stock in the 9s and then it goes to the 11s after hours. I mean, that's pretty good. Obviously, it's not like the biggest percent gain I've ever had, but it's a pretty good setup. But long story short, I took a small position because I know I'm buying at the highs. But at the same time, I want to give it time. I sell 2/3 of my position here because it already hit my, goals. I said potentially squeezes over 10 today, either into the close or after hours. And then I said, but this is a big mover, so my goal is to sell in the 10s or 11s. So I had to take some profits because, it's already moved like $1 a share in like 30 minutes. But then right before the close, it actually came down again. So this is like a choppy stock. So you can see like all day the uptrend was pretty clear. But you can sell into strength and buy on dips the way that I did. Obviously, you don't have to do this. You can just buy once on a Friday, sell on a Monday. Oftentimes, you'll be more right that way. But I want to show you different options. And I think that especially in this choppy market, it's good to take some profits off the table. I think it's good to just be safer, especially given how far the market has gone. And I'm aware that I'm on a hot streak, so I should be more aggressive, but I'm also always still a little timid. That's just me. This is me as a teacher. The nearly $8 million that I've made in trading. This is why several of my top students have made double what I've made in half the time. They're just more aggressive. So you can always be more aggressive on your own time, but I like selling into tops. And, I didn't know that it was necessarily going to go to the 11s after hours. It had 3 tops here in the mid 10s right here. So when you have 3 tops in the mid 10s, you just don't know if that's the ultimate top or not, right? Obviously, the catalyst isn't until next week. The trend is good. Also, I should mention this is a first green day on the daily chart. 3 green days in a row here. You have basically 2 green days, a little red day, and then a green day. You have 2 green days here. This is just the first green day. And this is big volume, big candle. Usually it leads to more. You had big volume here back in December 13th when they announced that they were doing the deal with SpaceX. So this is the same catalyst, okay? And now the launch is going to be these 2 days. So, this obviously is going to be the biggest spike because it's like, wow, this small company is actually working with SpaceX, so it's a big legitimizer. So the stock went from 3 to 14 in 2 days. This is a big percentage gain, but pretty impressive that it held all the past month between 6 and 13. And, it was trending towards the lows here. So you have a big sell-off, like a lot of weak hands got out the past 3 days. This big green candle on Friday, I mean, this is best case scenario. First green day with an upcoming catalyst. Again, the one thing I wish is that I could have bought a little lower, maybe in the 8s and not in the 9s. Then I would have taken a bigger position and it would be a bigger dollar gain than I'm going to have. But at the same time, you're just not sure. The whole overall market has been rolling over. AI, quantum, crypto, it's all kind of rolling over. So even though I've been on a hot streak, even though it looks like I'm going to be a little too conservative on this play, I don't mind. I'd rather be too conservative. But first green day with an upcoming catalyst on a stock, working with, SpaceX is like the hottest company in the world, or one of the five hottest companies in the world. And this is a small nobody company. No one knows about this one, but they're working with SpaceX. So really good catalyst, really good setup. That's why I added on the dip in the 9. So some people will say, Tim, you're timid buying it here at 965, but you're more aggressive buying it here at 995. Why are you more aggressive buying at higher prices? Because if you picture like a stock is kind of like this uncharted map, and you're trying to guess what the map is going to say. I didn't know when I was buying at 965 that it would go to the mid 10s. I had an idea that it could, but the map was filled in from the price action. So now we know that it can get back to 1050-ish. Again, I didn't know after hours that it was going to go to 1150 for sure, but I had an idea. So I'm buying a small position here because I'm chasing it a little bit. I'm selling 2/3 of my position here because I like taking some off the table. And then I go even bigger and I double up, more than double up. I had 500 shares left, so I actually like tripled up on the dip because I think it can get back to 1050. And then frankly, again, it's kind of good with my weekend strategy. The one thing that's good about me being an over trader and how, I've been trading from Asia because we've had 2 schools open lately with my charity. I wasn't awake at this moment when it was, this is 5:50 p.m. This is 6:40 a.m. in Bali, or 6:50 a.m. in Bali. It's a 13-hour time difference. So I went to sleep with my position in here, and I was happy to have my position, in the 9s. My average is like 980. And when I went to sleep, it was around here at like 1015. I had no idea whether it was going to go back to 1050 or even in the 9s, but there's a saying like you make your bed and then you lay in it. I made my bed and I laid in it. Literally, I was asleep, but I was happy whether it went to 1050 or was at 1020 or even came down to the 9s. I was confident with my shares. Again, because I had already taken some profits. I had already taken a nice $1,000 profit off the table. And I'm confident because of the upcoming catalyst and the setup. Had I been awake here, I gotta say, I probably would have taken it. Not gonna lie. I know myself. So I'm kind of glad. We'll see how this plays out on Monday, but I'm kind of glad I wasn't awake to give it time to see what it's going to do on Monday. Literally, my average is 980. If I would have sold it here at 1120, that's $1.40 a share on 2,000 shares. That's another 3,000. So this is basically like $4,000 in profits for me, which if you look at my trades lately, like that's at the very high end. This would have been one of my best trades, but I wasn't awake. So we'll get the benefit, hopefully, of holding over the weekend. Obviously, anything can happen, and I might regret not being awake. But at the same time, trading from Asia with these new 14, 15-hour trading days where there's just so much action pre-market and after hours, you got to sleep sometimes. If you've been following my video lessons, I've been getting sick lately because I'm trying to stay awake, but you need sleep. And doing charity all day and then trading all night and not sleeping is not a recipe for health. So it is what it is. And I want to make a video about this. I just want to keep showing you guys good opportunities like this. Even when, the overall market got crushed on Friday, this was one of the biggest percent gainers, and I think this is a good setup. So I'll make a follow-up video based on what I see happening on Monday, but either way, even if it spikes more, even if it gaps down, there's already been $2 a share of upside. Really good setup, and I hope that you learn from it. Thank you. So it is Monday morning. I just sold WKEY on this bounce. This is exactly why I play safe, guys. Some people say, Tim, just be more aggressive. You don't have to sell. In this market, yes, I should be aggressive. My over the weekend strategy is on fire. But, and it's a big but, these plays move so fast. And you really have to be careful about overstaying. So, yeah, in hindsight, I should have sold here everything late Friday in the 11s. Remember, I wasn't awake. I want to try to give these plays time. I thought that this could really, do more over the weekend. And instead, pre-market, it went down from 10. What did it open at? I don't think it ever got back to break even today. Yeah, I mean, it closed at like 1080 and it opened in like the 1020s. So it was immediately down, and it was nothing to do with this company. It's more just the NASDAQ right now is down like 1%. I got too many plays to watch. So when the NASDAQ is getting crushed, there's not much you can do. I mean, you can see here, there's just a big gap down on the NASDAQ. And, quantum plays, which, WKEY is working with LAES, which is one of these quantum runners. LAES is involved in the SpaceX launch. Quantum plays are getting wrecked. Over the weekend, Mark Zuckerberg of Meta said, he doesn't know much about quantum computing. And it's like, wait a minute, quantum computing is supposed to be the next big thing. How could Mark Zuckerberg not know much about it? And he said, we're still decades away. And this was echoing what NVIDIA's CEO said. So two of the biggest companies in the world, the two most influential tech companies in the world, say that it's going to be decades for quantum. That takes the wind out of the sails. So LAES is getting wrecked, RGTI getting wrecked, down 15%, QUBT, all of these quantum plays down 15%. QMCO is another one. This one's down 7%, but they're all getting wrecked. On top of that, robot plays and AI plays are getting wrecked. This is RR. This has been a big robot runner, down 9% pre-market. You can see here. Oh, wait, I got to move this so you can see. All of these plays, I'm filming this before 8 a.m. Eastern. I mean, they're just getting wrecked. So, 3 out of 4 stocks follow the market. So it doesn't matter that I think, WKEY can come back. The launch is still Tuesday. I have to respect the market. And, as bad as it was that I wasn't awake here to sell in the 11s, I also wasn't awake here in the 9s. So, sometimes you get a little lucky. In a perfect world, you're there all the time. I mean, this is why like my top challenge students like Jack Kellogg are making $1 million a month, and they just stay up all day and they go to sleep at like 8, 9 p.m. and then they wake up at 2, 3 a.m. So you don't miss out because there was an opportunity to sell in the 11s, and you could even dip buy this in the 9s before it bounced to the 10s. I wasn't awake for the absolute high, and I wasn't awake for the absolute low. I saw it bouncing, and at this point, I'm like, everything is down. Let me just protect. I didn't care whether I was selling, at 1040, 1030, 1020, even if I had to sell at 10 or 9, it's at 990. Again, there's so much upside when you're in the right strategy. And this is 8 a.m. by the way. So like when it's 8 a.m., everything goes crazy. I'm also watching XXII. They have a lower nicotine cigarette, but long story short, I got out just to protect myself. So, it turned out that it's a profit where I sold some in the mid-10s on Friday, and then it's a profit where I sold mid-10s today. But, this is just a momentum play, okay? And, when the momentum disappears, whether it's the company, whether it's the overall market, you must be safe. I have zero regrets. I don't care if this thing goes up. I mean, it's still like 950, 960. Like all the quotes are all messed up at 8 a.m. I'm not on good Wi-Fi. Remember, sorry, challenge students. I tried to give a webinar on Friday. I couldn't even do that, but I made a video lesson answering all your questions. Now it's like 980 by 10. So it's not actually trading at 920. These are like delayed quotes. You got to look at like the bid and the ask. But, whether it goes up to 1030, whether it goes up to 11, I don't care. I go into protection mode when I don't get what I want. So it's a really good lesson, but it just shows like how much upside there is. I didn't get what I wanted, and I still made, nearly 50 cents a share over the weekend. Like, it's stupid how hot this strategy is. I'm going to link the over the weekend, presentation below so that you can understand this strategy. Again, it's not always just buy once and sell once. It can be a little more nuanced, but that's the gist of it. And, the overall market dropping aside, I think this probably could have gone to the 11s or even the 12s. It still might, but I'm happy with my $2,000 profit, and it's a good lesson. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you understand.